Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'll be covering part 2 of the story I covered earlier, all about the guy whose wife proposed the open marriage thing, or just brought up the idea of the open marriage thing while they were lying in bed one night. And then he quickly discovered lots of red flags, things going on, and the story ended, or part 1 ended, when he was going through her iPad. So all these messages were as clear as can be. She's having an affair with a coworker named Sid. And where he left off, he was now tracking to see other messages from her coworkers, gathering the evidence. And we're going to continue on this guy's unfortunate adventure about how he handles the whole thing. So picks up where he left off. He says here, here's a text she sent to Janet. This is the coworker who spotted him at the bar looking for his wife. You better push him off you, clean yourself up, and get home. Your husband was just here at the bar looking for you, and he didn't look happy. I told him you went home. He's on his way there. I can't wait to hear the story you tell him to get yourself out of this one. What a fucking lowlife. Janet came up with the story that she went grocery shopping. But the text proved that what I thought. Janet's coworkers knew about them. Janet and Sid weren't trying to hide anything except from me. Of course the coworkers knew about this. They're all hooking up with, they're probably all married or have boyfriends. They're hooking up and cheating too. There are lots of texts with her coworker Ellen. Ellen is an ER nurse who I think is probably in her mid-30s. She seems to have taken on the role as Janet's mentor. What, her SLUT mentor? Like with Sid, Janet and Ellen texted each other when things were slow at work. Janet confided in Ellen about her interest in Sid before things between Janet and Sid really got going. Ellen enthusiastically encouraged Janet to pursue those interests. What I tell you about paying attention to who her friends are. She explained that she had always cheated on her husband, and when they were dating, when they got engaged, and the entire time they've been married. Spent much of the night before her wedding with one of the wedding guests, a friend of her husband. What the fuck? Her husband finally caught on about 6 years ago. She told her husband that she loved him and wanted to stay married. She didn't see other men because he was somehow inadequate. No one man could satisfy her. Must be because some sort of generic thing. She proposed an open marriage for both of them. If he didn't agree, she made it clear to him that she would continue to see other men. Agree to the open marriage, or I'm going to keep seeing him anyway. And this weak-ass bitch went along with it. But she didn't want to sneak around anymore. Her husband agreed to let her date. Smack to the husband, fucking bitch. Ellen said that her husband doesn't see other women. Most men in open marriages just stay at home waiting for their wife to show up. Because they're whipped puppies, that's why. That's why these women bring it up, because they know their husbands are whipped puppies. That's also another reason why they cheat, because they have no respect for their guy. Her husband is miserable, but they still occasionally have sex. Ellen referred to sex with her husband as pity fucks. Ellen says she wishes her husband would see other women. She'd be happy if they were just roommates. Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. When Janet and Sid really got into it, Ellen wanted to know all the details. Janet told her everything, including size, girth, things Sid said, and what they did. Janet also started to express her worries to Ellen about her husband finding out. Janet said she couldn't survive a divorce and her husband might want one. Ellen's response is sooner than later, if Janet continues to take lovers, she will get caught. Janet shouldn't have any delusions about that. Ellen told Janet to start thinking about a story to tell her husband when she's caught. Man, she is the SLUT mentor, huh? Probably telling her husband the truth wouldn't be the best way to go. He probably wouldn't like hearing that Janet enjoyed the excitement of having sex with another man, and that the only time she gave her husband a second thought was when she worried about having to stop it if he found out. Ellen's advice was to start preparing explanations, but begin discussions with Richard about opening their marriage. Then she wouldn't have to worry about getting caught. Eventually, everything will be out in the open. There you go. To justify the cheating. That's usually what it is. After that, the text between Janet and Ellen turned to how to get me to consider opening our marriage. At least open for Janet, without me realizing that's what Janet was after. They spent days and days texting about this. Again, this is all he's getting from the iPad, going through her whole history here while she's at work. Finally, a plan emerged. Janet should come home from work, wake me up, have sex, and snuggle afterwards until I'm half asleep. Then start the discussion about Ellen's weird marriage, and Janet had accomplished 3 things. So that's exactly what happened. 1, she had to extol the virtues of an open marriage, especially about how Richard would enjoy sex with Janet so much more because of the excitement of doing it. Tell Richard that Ellen and her husband are back to behaving like they were kids in college. 2, make sure he thinks Janet doesn't want an open marriage, that she doesn't want to be with any other man. And 3, get Richard to say he's interested in sleeping with other women. Janet's response was that Richard would never say that he wants other women. He knows she'd go crazy on him. Ellen replied he doesn't have to say that. That's the point of him being half asleep. He won't remember what he said. Bullshit. Just insist that he told Janet he's interested in other women. Since all men want other women, he'll eventually believe he actually told Janet that. If Janet thinks Richard is sleepy enough, tell him that he also said he was interested in exploring open marriage. For you single guys out there who still want to get married. Over time, Janet can bring up how she said he wanted to see other women and connect it to how that could only happen if they open their marriage. Just make sure he thinks about this idea. He's the one who wants to see other women. She's not interested in other men, but that's what Richard really wants. My God, the manipulation tactics here. After Janet tried their plan, Janet texted Ellen that it didn't work. Richard actually feels sorry for Ellen's husband. He doesn't believe that Ellen's husband is enjoying any part of their marriage that has benefited. Ellen told Janet that it's a long process. Stay alert for opportunities to bring it up. In the meantime, she needs to have a story ready when Richard catches her, because he will. Well, she's a pro cheater. She knows cheaters eventually get caught. Eventually. They get too comfortable and they slip up. But then the whole crafty ways they get the guys to stay with them. It's amazing. Then they started to text about Janet's spa weekend. This will be Janet's first extended time period with Sid. Janet was very uneasy about that weekend. Not because her husband is suspicious, he's completely clueless, she said. Richard loves and trusts her so much, it would never occur to him that she's cheating. But she doesn't know she can take Sid for an entire weekend. She works with him 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Screwing around when they're not busy at work is fun, exciting, and makes the shift go faster. She says sexting is fun. She still hates work, but at least screwing Sid and texting Ellen made it palatable. She said she and Sid spent a lot of work days together at her place, but a whole weekend screwing Sid in his filthy apartment may be too much. Ellen texted that it sounds like there's a bigger problem here. If Janet is not excited by a weekend leisurely banging her lover, maybe the thrill is gone. Janet replied, was there really a cute guy in radiology who works the shift? Here we go, she's already fixing her up with somebody else. Again, hospitals. She's been flirting with him, but she doesn't know what to do about Sid. Ellen said to let her handle Sid. She doesn't usually get involved with her coworkers, but maybe she'll take Sid off Janet's hands. Then Ellen texted, how dirty is Sid's apartment? Oh my God. In their text, Janet and Sid talked about photographs. Sid is evidently an avid photographer. I found lots of pictures of Janet in various stages of undress, giving him BJs, and her upper torso and face while they're having sex. So now there's pictures to add to this whole thing. At least this guy has all the evidence for the lawyers. Or if she's not going to play ball in the divorce process, maybe her family gets these pictures, who knows. There were a few pictures of Janet laughing while she ran around the lab nude. Then pictures of Sid carrying Janet out through the double doors that separate inside the lab from the reception desk and waiting area. Janet, still naked, is flung over Sid's shoulder. This isn't the fucking lab where people need to have tests taken that can determine how their life is going to go, if their life will be saved or not. And these assholes are there fucking around and literally behind the scenes. What is interesting about that set of pictures was that Sid didn't take them. He was in the pictures with Janet. Someone else was involved with them. Probably Ellen. Most of the pictures were of Janet in the lab, with some in Sid's apartment, and lots of pictures in my bedroom. Now you gotta see pictures of them actually in your bed. That is horrible. Then I came across this one set of pictures that made me sick. I had to toss my cookies in the bathroom. Not so vanilla after all. Well, do tell, dude. I decided no more of that. I had to be rational and calm and cold as ice to get through all this. But who in their right mind would keep pictures like that? Narcissists. Egomaniacs. People think they're never going to get caught. It's a thrill for her. These are her trophies. I copied the most incriminating text and almost all the pictures. Then I closed our iPad and went to bed. In the spare bedroom, no way I'll ever sleep in our bed with her again. It was now 11 p.m. I wasn't going to get much sleep, so I thought about next steps. Divorce was the only thing I was certain about. You're darn right about that. If you want to keep cool, dude, you got to sleep in the same bed with her and act like nothing happened. Otherwise, she'll know. She's going to be on high alert. So I guess I need a lawyer. I'll find one in the morning. I will have to get an STI test. So again, guys, he's talking from the future here about what he was thinking back then. After I talk to an attorney, I'll confront Janet. I start to prepare for the confrontation. Whenever I have an important company meeting or phone call, I go through my head in advance, trying to anticipate what others want and what they will say. I've always done this and find that I can usually better direct how a meeting or phone call will go. Of course, the more you know the person or people, they'll be able to predict how things will play out. I started to think about how the confrontation with Janet would go. Guys, always be prepared, because she's a master at twisting shit around and all that, so this guy has to be prepared for every possible thing that she's going to throw at him. Not to mention emotions and maybe even dishes, and twist this around to be his fault here. I'm not kidding. He must be prepared for this. My plan was I'd start by asking how long she's been screwing this guy. She'd go white, will look like a deer in headlights, but I will decide that I'm just guessing or that someone from work ratted on her. So she'll begin denying everything. Of course she'll deny everything, and she'll call you crazy and paranoid and insecure and controlling and all that. I'll open my phone and show her a picture of her and Sid. I'll probably use the one of her in the lab room with her lipstick smeared and a substance all over her face, smiling for the camera. That's disgusting. You guys can guess what substance was all over her face he's talking about here. Actually, if her lipstick was darker red in the picture, she'd resemble the Joker in a Batman movie. Yeah, with white all over the face. I'll say this is one of my favorite pictures of you. Really highlights your beautiful eyes. Her face will turn from paper white to red. She'll probably try deflecting at this point and say, "You're snooping through my phone and text. How dare you? That's private." She'll get in a huff. How could I do such a despicable thing? I'll reply that I'm divorcing her because she's unfaithful. If she wants to divorce me for going through her phone, feel free. I'll get up and start to leave. If he's got a picture of her with lipstick smeared and the dude's love juice all over her face, he can get anything he wants. No way she wants that to get out. She don't want her daddy to see that. She realizes she's not going to bluster her way through this, so the tears will start to flow. She'll say she's so sorry. She never meant to go that far. She'll never want to hurt me. She'll tell me that she loves me, and Sid means nothing to her. I'll say you threw away our marriage for some guy who means nothing to you. She'll tell me she already had decided to break things off with Sid. Of course he's going to get the usual thing. This is how things usually go. The guilt from her affair was eating her alive, she'd say. She never wanted to be unfaithful. I'll ask if she was going to break it off and why was she still planning to spend spa weekend with him. She'll tell me she was never really going to go through with it, and I'll say, why? Have you moved on to a cute guy in radiology? There you go. Be prepared. Have an answer for everything, because guarantee you she's going to have an answer for you. At this point, she'll realize that her pretend contrition and claims that she wasn't going to stop aren't working. So she'll open the crying faucet even more and start the gaslighting. She'll go with something like, we never see each other anymore. We never spend time together. We've grown distant. You complain I go out when I can spend time at the gym, spend time with you, but you go to the gym, watch your football with your friends, and do other stuff when we can be together. Of course she's going to blame for cheating on him. I mean, what else would she do? Except if it come clean to the fact that she's a scumbag, you know? She'd say, you're never there. Sid is always there for me. He's always helping me, complimenting me, and telling me I'm wonderful. Sid makes me feel good while you and I have become strangers. We barely talk anymore. You are interested in me, but I never planned this. I fell into it. I didn't mean for it to happen, but Sid was constantly giving me the attention you weren't. I'll say so. You thought that was the way to fix this growing distance between us, was fucking another man. She'll have nothing to say at that point, so she'll keep crying. Remember, this is a conversation he's playing out in his head. Very possible thing. Guys, if you're gonna confront your girl and get into a confrontation with her, I caution you to argue with women, because good fucking luck with that. But even if you're going to try to go through something like this, you got to be prepared for everything. But when there's discussions and there's arguments. Arguments when there's crying and emotions thrown in there, and usually frying pans and dishes. I advise you, if she can't talk rationally and calmly with you, you walk away. But be prepared for anything anyway. So she'll go on and just start crying. I'll tell her I've gotten an attorney and we're divorcing. Now she'll be really alarmed. She'll say, please don't divorce me. I love you. I can make this right. I'll quit the job. I'll never talk to Sid again. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Give me another chance, she'd say. I'm still the same person you fell in love with. I made a mistake. A bad mistake. I'm human and humans make mistakes. Yep, pretty much. But I'm still the same girl you married, she'd say. I've learned my lesson and will be the perfect wife from now on. Don't throw away our marriage because I made some horrible choices. They always say that. You're the one that threw away the marriage. This will go on until I repeat, I'm divorcing her and she should get an attorney. I'll get up and leave. More or less, that's how the confrontation will go. Dude, that's pretty much how things go in all the stories I've covered. And this is a guy who's obviously watched enough of this content and read enough of this content online to see how they're going to respond. You have to know this stuff, guys. What do I want to get out of this confrontation? Besides making it clear we're divorcing, I guess I want her to take some responsibility for her behavior. Will I get that? No. No, you're not going to get responsibility for her behavior. What will I get out of it? I won't find out any more about her activities than what I already know. What I'll get is denials, deflection, gaslighting, lies, excuses, and justifications. And, of course, a whole bunch of tears. Dude, you're going to have a flood in your apartment from all the tears you're going to get from her. Probably more remorse than she let Sid take those pictures and that she got caught, then regret for her adultery. Yelling at her, calling her names, calling her lies certainly won't make me feel any better, probably worse. I would talk to your attorney and find out all your options and have her served before you go into all that with her, but whatever. What will Janet get out of the confrontation? Besides finding out that I already know about her infidelity and what my plans are, she'll feel better about getting this off her chest. She'll be pleased with herself for being able to quickly come up with an explanation for her behavior, which settles the blame for her adultery on me. I wasn't there for her and she found someone else, so it's all my fault. She'll think I'll certainly be there for her from now on, too scared for the competition not to be. This is what he's thinking that she'll think. Come on here. She'll be proud that she finally had the courage to be mostly, or at least somewhat, honest with me about her feelings and our marriage problems. She'll be happy about how well she handled everything. Sure, I got up and left. I'll be back, and now she has an idea how much work she has to do for me to get past this. All in all, Janet will think, given that she was just caught cheating, that the confrontation went pretty well. Well, yeah, and her friend Slutty Ellen was telling her how this was going to go. And she'll then go brag about how she handled her husband here. I got out of my system by yelling, calling her names, and threatening to divorce her. That part, the confrontation, is over, so we can start rebuilding our marriage. She'll think I'm hurt and mad at her, but now my anger will melt away, and we'll get past this. She'll just have to stop this divorce nonsense before it gets any further. Since we will be divorcing, what will Janet come to believe about her infidelity in the divorce? Here's how she'll probably play it. She was stupid and made mistakes. People make bad decisions. It happens. It has nothing really to do with her as a person. She's the same wonderful person she's always been. Her slip-up was an aberration. Janet will never understand that her infidelity defines her. We're divorcing not because of her poor choices, but because her actions show who she is. We're divorcing because she's a horrible person and always will be. Yes, once a cheater, always a cheater. And it takes it to a whole new level of scumbaggery. There, I made up a word. By doing this in your own freaking home, in your own bed. But Janet will come to believe that my insisting on divorce defines me as a person. She'll tell herself that my ego is too fragile to look past this one mistake. Pretty much. Fragile ego. We haven't heard that in a while. She'll tell herself she'll say that I'm pretty insecure, petty, selfish, and foolish. I threw everything away because I'm not mad enough to just get over it. Millions of couples go through this sort of thing, but work it out and get on with their marriage and their lies. Well, you know what? There's truth to that. Millions do try to get over it and move on with their lives, and the same bullshit keeps happening. But she will think that I'm too weak to get past this like all the others have. What will be the upshot of my confrontation with Janet? Janet will believe that her infidelity was just poor judgment and the divorce is my fault. Sure, she made bad choices, but if I were more mature, we could have worked past her slip-up. Janet will believe and tell anyone who will listen that she did everything right when she was caught. She admitted to her bad behavior, apologized, she sympathized with my anger, and she bravely expressed her feelings and concerns. She provided the reasons why she made such a bad mistake. I should have been happy that she was appropriately contrite, but I'm not the man enough to get over it. The divorce is on me. Again, this will be in her head and her justification to all her friends who will listen. Again, you single guys still want to get married? I can't have Jan thinking the divorce is not all her fault and her adultery is just a mistake she made. I want her to understand that I'm divorcing her because she's not worthy to be my wife. Her infidelity is who she is. Janet came home late as usual, looked at me in the spare bedroom, sighed, but didn't wake me. I feigned asleep, and she went to the master bedroom. I went on trying to devise a plan. Dude, you're not hiding anything if you're staying in the spare bedroom. She's going to know something's up. The only way you can get away with this, say, is that you're sick, but then you're going to have to act sick. I want her to understand that she is not a wonderful person she thinks she is. I want her to doubt herself, be unhappy with who she is, be uncertain about her choices. Well, I will say this, someone like this is not happy who they are. You know, and some of the most beautiful women out there, the more beautiful woman is, I've noticed, the more insecure they are. And the more insecure they are, the more they do shit like this. I finally came up with a plan and fell asleep. I apologize in advance if you think my plan is too savage, but I want to destroy her mentally and emotionally. Dude, you don't have to say that here in this channel. My plan does not involve confronting her about her infidelity, but that's something I can always do later. I'll keep that in my back pocket. The next morning, I got up and went to work without waking Janet. I waited for the owner to get in. When he arrived, I asked to talk to him. He told me to come in and shut the door. I told him I'm having some marital problems and I think I should get an attorney, but I don't know any. Could I call his corporate attorney, tell him I work here, and ask for a referral? He buzzed the secretary and asked her to get the attorney on the phone. He put the attorney on speaker. He says, I have Richard, an employee here in the office. He's having some problems with his wife. Richard needs to see your family attorney today. Now. The attorney said, hold on, and we heard some music. When he came back on the phone, he said that he can see me at noon today if I don't mind her eating a sandwich when we meet. No problem, I said. Then my boss surprised me by saying, send all your invoices to the work you do for Richard to the company. Richard pays for nothing. Wow, that's very big of your boss. Well, and that's going to be a lot of fees. That seems a little hard to believe, but okay, you never know. I didn't want him to know what you're charging. The lawyer told me where to go and who to see, and they hung up. I thanked him for paying for the lawyer and told him that he didn't have to do that. He said not to worry about it. He wants to be there for me and doesn't want me worried about money. Just get my life in order. He asked how much time I'll need. I told him the rest of the day and maybe also the following next week. He said okay, but bring me my assistant up to speed. He wished me luck and let him know if I need anything. Again, you must have a very good history with your boss and to be very, very important to your company for him to do this. So I was shown to Julie's office right at noon. Okay, Julie's the attorney. Julie is maybe 5'2", thin, in her 40s, and a battleship gray hair. She asked me to sit down, unwrapped a sandwich, and asked if I wanted half. I declined. She asked me to tell her what is going on. I described the texts and pictures that I want a divorce. She explained that this is a no-fault state, so Janet's infidelity isn't relevant to the divorce. All these guys are in no-fault states. God almighty. She says, here's how a divorce works here. We send a divorce agreement to Janet and file with the court. Janet has 30 days to respond. If she doesn't respond, the divorce proceeds. If she signs the agreement, the divorce proceeds. We just wait in queue for a judge to get it and sign the divorce decree. Or Janet can respond with a counteroffer and we'll go back and forth until we agree to terms. Well, Janet knows he has all these pictures of her. Again, one picture of her looking like the Joker. And you know why her face was white like the Joker. I'm sure she may agree to his terms. Call me crazy. She can say she doesn't want a divorce and wants counseling or whatever. If we can't come to an agreement, we go to the judge. Julie asked me what I thought Janet would do when she served. I said fight the divorce. Julie said she wants the judge to order a counseling. Janet's pictures and texts might just leak into the discussion without counseling. We can't use her infidelity as grounds for divorce, but we can use it to argue against counseling. I told Julie that I don't want Janet to know that I know about her cheating. Julie stared at me for a while and then asked what I'm up to. Haven't I confronted Janet about her infidelity? No, I said, and I don't plan to. Julie told me not to do anything stupid or illegal, and I smiled. Listen to your lawyer. So we went through our financials. We have a lot in the checking account because we've been saving for a down payment on a house. I make about double what Janet does. Oh, God. That's great you do well, sir, but now that you make double what she does, guess what that means? Unless you can get her to agree to shit terms. Yeah, we know. Also, the 2 cars are in each of our names individually. The apartment is the one I've had since graduating college, and the lease is solely in my name. And some joint credit cards. Joint credit cards? Smack! Are you nuts? Never do that, guys. Julie said today, after you leave here, open a bank account in your name and transfer 60% of the joint account to your account. We may have to give some money back, but it's better to take it now than watch it disappear. Cancel all the joint credit cards, then get an STI test. Darn right. Today I'll drop the divorce agreement. Since we've been married for such a short time, there should be no alimony. Hey, that's good news. Well, he said it's like been a year and a half, but seems to me that they would still try to take the pound of flesh. Unless we get an idiot judge, we want Janet working. If you're planning to get her and her boyfriend fired with the pictures and texts, wait until the divorce is final. Yes. Today's Tuesday. We can serve her this week. Where? I told her at my apartment, not at work. There you go. There you go. So guys, it's been long enough. I'm going to wrap up part 2, and I will cover part 3 tomorrow morning. I got a busy night tonight, so you're going to get part 1 and 2. Don't scream at me. I know you're going to scream and slap me, but this is the one time I'm not going to finish this up all in one day. But I promise you tomorrow, by noon, you're going to get part 3, wrapping this whole story up and how our guy here handles himself quite well and strikes hard and no mercy and all that. So I will see you then.